Good Shabbos again, everyone. The story is told of a poor man who is walking in the forest, and he feels close enough to God to ask God, what's a million years to you? And God replies, my son, a million years to you is like a second to me. The man then asks, God, what's $1 million to you? God replies, my son, $1 million to you is less than a penny to me. It means almost nothing to me. The man then asks, so God, can I have $1 million? And God replies, in a second. No, there's nothing wrong with wanting our children to earn a college degree so they can make a nice living and not have to pray to God for money. But there are other important aspects we may consider when choosing the right university for our children. I have some close friends, and their son is brilliant. He does well academically, but struggles with many social anxieties. He has a hard time making friends. So the parents are very anxious about sending him off to college. They have narrowed their list down to 2 schools. He's received nice scholarships from both. They're both excellent colleges, but his parents are conflicted where to send their high school senior off to college. So they recently asked me for my advice. The 2 schools. School A has a lot more support, an entire department suited just for students like him, a larger student body, and a nice-sized Jewish community. School B, there's no real support for students like their son. There's not a lot of Jewish students. And it's a smaller school focused on applied science and engineering. And the school has a worldwide reputation for producing talented graduates who can take on successful science-oriented careers. And right now, the son thinks that's what he wants to do. He wants to be a biomedical engineer. He can get an engineering degree from school A, but from school B, he can get a degree that will bring respect from companies and graduate schools across the world. So school A has a lot of academic and social support, many Jewish students, and a large and diverse student body. But school B, it has a lack of guidance and support. There's not many Jewish students, but it has a better degree, a much better degree, in a field that he most likely wants to pursue. So Brian, they asked me, what's your advice? Where do you think we should send my son? To school A or to school B? Before I give you my answer, I want to tell you an unusual story about the holiday of Purim that we'll be celebrating in just a few weeks. Now, I know we're all familiar with the Purim story, Mordecai, Queen Esther, Haman, of course. But according to the rabbinic tradition, there's one very surprising aspect of the story that you may not know. Now, one night, according to the story of the Megillat Esther, the king of the story, King Ahasuerus, is tossing and turning in bed. The king can't fall asleep. And so he decides to read his diary. He goes back years back, and he realizes that he never rewarded Mordecai for actually saving his life years earlier. Just then, according to the story, his top advisor Haman arrives, and the king asks him, how should he honor a person who saved his life? Now, of course, Haman thinks the king is referring to him. So Haman suggests that this great honoree should be adorned in the finest clothes, the king's robes, and taken for a ride amongst the city upon the royal horse. The king agrees, but then shocks Haman. He's been referring to Mordecai, the enemy of Haman, the Jewish man that Haman hates more than anyone else. So downtrodden and furious, off Haman goes to offer the royal clothes to Mordecai. But now the story goes on to tell us that Mordecai won't accept the clothes. He doesn't feel it's right to put on the royal robes until he gets a haircut. But all the barbershops in Shushan, the capital, are closed that day. So Haman has to be the one to give Mordecai a haircut. And as you can imagine, Haman is even more upset. Not only is Mordecai going to get this honor, he now has to cut Mordecai's hair. So Mordecai asks him, Haman, why are you so unhappy? And Haman responds, the king once regarded me above all his ministers. Now I'm just a barber, having to give you a haircut. And Mordecai answers, wicked man, were you not once a barber? Now, what is this meaning of this very strange exchange between two of the most important characters in the story, Mordecai and Haman? Why does Mordecai remind Haman that years ago he was actually a full-time barber? There has to be more to this unusual episode. The rabbis tell us Mordecai wasn't just making fun of Haman. Rather, he's actually giving him a chance to turn his life around. Here was Haman's opportunity to repent from his murderous intentions to kill all the Jews and return to his earlier calling. Instead of trying to kill all the Jews, Haman could use his talents for constructive purposes, as he did earlier in his life, when before he was an advisor to the king, he was a barber. And the rabbis conclude this important but unusual story. Someone like Haman might use his skills with a pair of scissors to remain a barber or become a killer. Because the sages of our tradition often remind all of us, within each individual is a need for genuine purpose, for something or someone to live for that is truly everlasting. So they teach that God put us all here for a reason. They say there's no one who doesn't have their hour and no one who doesn't have their rightful place. Our life's journey is working and working to discover what is that reason. Why did God put me here and give me these unique skills that no one else has? Yet think about the state of our country today. Despite the challenges, our young still have more opportunities than any generation ever before, more than any other place in the history of the world. But more than ever, too many of our young are lost, unhappy. Youth suicide rates are soaring. You see it. I see it. Too many of our boys and girls have never been unhappier, despite all the gifts they may have, all the blessings, unprecedented in human history. Now, there are many explanations, but too often I find the unhappiness comes from a lack of purpose. Too many young people struggle to find any genuine meaning in their lives. Yes, according to the Jewish tradition, each of us is blessed with certain character traits, unique skill sets, but that doesn't presume our outcomes. Whatever talents and tendencies we have are merely the starting point, with multiple directions open and available to us. It's not just about Haman choosing to use his skills to no longer be a barber but be a killer. Any individual who is good with his hands could also become a killer, or he could become a chef or a world-class surgeon. The computer whiz could become a cyber hacker, able to break into and steal from the most secure websites. Or she could become a famous programmer, writing coding systems that are life-changing. As I say to my children often, I want to remind our young that are here today, just there is nobody else in the world that has the same unique DNA as you. There's no other person with the exact same calling. You have a role to fulfill in this world that cannot be fulfilled by anyone else. But the mere fact that you have that potential does not guarantee that you will indeed fulfill your mission. It's your choice how you use your talents. No matter how good your parents are, no matter how much love they may give you, ultimately, it's up to you. And if you can use your gifts that God's giving you to develop a higher purpose, you can find the happiness you'll always be seeking. I have a close friend from college, my age, who for years was lost. He was sad. He was becoming severely depressed. He had 2 wonderful daughters, a beautiful wife, but as his children went off to school, the depression got even worse. They no longer needed him as much. So he felt that the only thing keeping him going was his pursuit of more material things, more money and more money. But his heart was empty. And then tragedy struck. A year ago, he came down with a severe heart condition. He ended up on life support, near death, unless a new heart could be found. Thank God, just after 4 days, a new heart was discovered, and his life was saved. And he now spends a lot of time speaking and writing about his experiences, using his story to inspire others. Because his heart saved him in 2 ways. Not by just giving him, of course, a needed organ. It gave him purpose, the purpose he had been seeking. And he now is more fulfilled, better off, and happier than I've seen him in years. Can our children also find genuine purpose to pursue before any tragedy can strike? But can they find something that they enjoy, something that they're good at, to give them the purpose and meaning that they do, and hence give them the happiness that they may be seeking? So I told my friends that I would advise their son to choose School B. Yes, I know School B doesn't have all the academic and social support they may want, but at School B, he's more likely to find his purpose. And as I've often found with our young here at Beth Yeshurun and many young adults, having a higher purpose can help a young person overcome any personal obstacles, like going off to college and dealing with all the new social anxieties that university life can bring. So today, I want to remind just not our young, but all of us, God has created in each and every single one of us a beautiful human being with a unique character and calling. But now the ball's in your court. In this Shabbat, I pray, may we all reach our greatest potentials and fulfill our unique missions in this world, thus finding the true happiness we all deserve. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.